Hi, boys and girls. Get comfortable. Are you ready for Chapter 6 of our story School's Out by Joanna Hurwitz? I'm reading today with permission from the Scholastic Publishing Company. We're ready for Chapter 6, Lucas versus Genevieve. Oh, do you remember what Lucas did in Chapter 5? I remember he wasn't being very safe. Fortunately, he and his friends were all okay. You don't think he's going to try anything else tricky, do you? Anyway, Chapter 6, Lucas versus Genevieve. After the roof climbing incident, Mrs. Cott was afraid to let Lucas out of her sight. I knew I had to watch the twins every moment. I didn't know that I had to keep an eye on you at all times, too, Mom complained to Lucas. You don't have to watch me. I won't climb up on the roof again. It was an easy promise to make now that the tall ladders were gone. In September, the painters were going to return to paint inside the house, but Lucas would be back at school by then. Lucas' father scolded him about climbing up on the roof. I expected more responsible behavior from you, he said to Lucas. Genevieve came primarily to help out with the twins. Now I see she has to watch after you as well. Oh, Dad, I don't need a babysitter, Lucas complained. I promise I won't get into any trouble. Despite his promises, Lucas seemed to have lost his parents' trust for the time being. They wouldn't let him accept an invitation to go to the beach with Julio and his older brothers. They wouldn't let him go to the amusement park with another of his friends from school, and they wouldn't even permit him to ride his bike off the block. If he had known that there would be such a fuss, Lucas would certainly have thought twice before he climbed the ladder to the roof. For now, Mrs. Cott was keeping a cautious eye on Lucas. For the next few days, she insisted that he stay close to the house. Either she or Genevieve was watching him all the time. It also meant that Lucas had to go wherever they went. When the au pair girl had first arrived, Mrs. Cott had discovered that Genevieve was a very competent driver. So now Lucas found himself forced to accompany Genevieve whenever she went off on errands for his mother. He went with her to pick up dry cleaning or buy something at the hardware store. The worst thing was having to accompany Genevieve with a long shopping list to the supermarket. There was nothing in the world more boring than going to the supermarket, Lucas decided. However, Genevieve beamed. I love American markets, she exclaimed to Lucas. There is so much to see. There are so many things to choose. I could walk around this supermarket all day long. So Lucas stood by her side as Genevieve chose string beans from a huge bin. He watched in agony as Genevieve carefully selected first one bean and then another, instead of grabbing a fistful at a time. At this rate, it would take a week just to get a pound of beans. What a terrible waste, said Genevieve. She pointed to the man who was cutting leaves off the tops of the celery. You can use those to make soup, she said. In your country, there's too much waste, she complained to Lucas. Next, Genevieve selected some fruit. As she was looking over the cherries, she picked them out of the bin one at a time. If she were picking them off a tree, it wouldn't have taken so long. Genevieve was horrified to see a store employee removing bruised peaches and throwing them into a trash can. See, she said, that is more waste. Those peaches could be cooked into a wonderful jelly. Lucas didn't know what that was, so he just shrugged his shoulders. Would they ever get through his mother's shopping list at this rate? Lucas stood with his hands on the shopping cart, eager to move on. At least they didn't have the twins with them. He watched his mothers move past them with toddlers in their carts. The little kids were giving orders. Buy this, buy that. You don't say that at the store, do you? He did know how those kids felt, however. Seeing all the shelves filled with food was making him hungry. Let's hurry up so we can go home for lunch, said Lucas. I could eat a horse. Genevieve looked at Lucas with surprise. I heard that you do not eat horse meat here in America, she said. In France, we have special butcher shops that sell only horse meat. Lucas made a face. He guessed he wasn't that hungry after all. He explained to Genevieve that eating a horse was just an expression. As always, she took out her notebook to write it down. You were a good teacher, Lucas, she said. Finally, Genevieve was ready to move on. Lucas pushed the cart toward the aisle of cookies. Graham crackers, she read from the list that Lucas' mother had given her. She studied all the other types of cookies displayed on the shelves. Graham crackers were the most boring cookies in the world, Lucas thought. He looked with Genevieve at the chocolate and cream-filled cookies. Lucas' eyes landed on a package of chocolate-covered graham crackers. Here, he said, these are the ones. Okay, said Genevieve, dropping the package into the cart. As they moved on, Lucas felt he had at least one victory. He knew his mother would never have purchased chocolate-covered graham crackers. Marcus and Marius would be covered in chocolate themselves before they finished chewing up their cookies. Genevieve picked out a package of chicken parts at the meat counter. At the fish department, she selected some fillets of fish to cook for supper. Lucas made another face. He knew fish was on his mother's shopping list, but fish was one of his least favorite things to eat. Genevieve studied all 27 types of mustard that were displayed near the meat counter. She even studied all the varieties of dog and cat food, despite the fact that the Cott family didn't own either a dog or a cat. "These sound delicious," she said, picking up a can of tuna, shrimp, and crab all mixed together for the gourmet cats. When they passed the ice cream freezer, Lucas saw a notice that store brand of ice cream was on special sale. A half gallon of the store brand cost less than a pint of the other brands Mrs. Cott's list had said ice cream. "Hey, Jenny, buy this one," said Lucas, picking up a container that seemed most appealing to him. It was marshmallow fudge. So a half gallon of marshmallow fudge ripple went into the shopping cart. That was victory number 2 for Lucas. "Why did you call me Jenny?" the French girl asked Lucas. Lucas shrugged his shoulders. The name had just popped out of his mouth. "It's a good nickname for you," he said. "Nickname?" said Genevieve. It was a new word for her notebook. It took about 40 minutes for them to wait in line. They had too many groceries to stand at the express checkout, which was for customers with 10 items or less. The people ahead of them in line had carts piled high with hundreds of cans and boxes and packages. It looked like enough food to last a family for a whole year. Lucas was sure their turn would never come. Genevieve didn't seem to mind waiting at all. She looked into the other shopping carts to see what those people bought. She started a discussion with the woman ahead of them about the difference in taste of fresh beans, frozen beans, and canned beans. Naturally, the woman noticed Genevieve's accent, and before long they were having a conversation about traveling in France. The woman opened her pocketbook and showed Genevieve pictures of her children who were away at summer camp. Lucas saw that Genevieve and the woman would know each other's whole life story before it was time to pay for the groceries. This sure was a boring way to spend a morning. Lucas was so impatient he felt as if he would explode. It is hard to wait your turn sometimes, isn't it? Finally, it was their turn. The groceries were put on the counter and the cashier tallied the cost. Everything was put in heavy paper bags, and Lucas put the bags back into the cart so he could take them to the car. "At home there are no paper bags," said Genevieve, fingering the sturdy brown paper bags. "Well, how do you carry your groceries?" Lucas asked. He was trying to imagine walking out of the supermarket with all their purchases in their arms. "Most people take baskets or bags from home. We do not waste so much paper." Lucas shrugged. "We don't have any baskets at my house," he reminded the au pair girl. When all the bags were in the trunk of the car, they drove off home. Lucas was relieved that this chore was finished at last. When he got to the house, though, he had to help Genevieve take all the bags into the house. His mother made him help put the groceries away in the kitchen cupboards and the refrigerator. "Oh dear," Mrs. Cott sighed as she looked over their purchases. "I should have explained to Genevieve about getting plain graham crackers." Lucas pretended not to hear. Late that afternoon, Mrs. Cott took the car and drove into town to meet her husband when he finished work. They were going out to dinner and the theater. Having an au pair girl certainly was giving his parents the chance to have a lot of good times, Lucas thought glumly. He was stuck at home. "Make sure to shut all the windows if it rains," Mrs. Cott had instructed Lucas and Genevieve before she left. "It looks like we're going to have a storm." The sky had been getting darker during the past hour, and from the distance they could hear the faint sound of thunder. Genevieve was supervising Marcus and Marius on the swing set. The twins were no longer upset when their mother left them with a babysitter. "Bye-bye," they called happily as they swung through the air. Within 10 minutes, the storm had moved closer. There was a streak of lightning, followed by a loud clap of thunder and big drops of rain. "Come inside the house," shouted Genevieve to the twins. "No more swinging." "Rain, rain," Marcus shouted. He jumped off his swing. Marius jumped off his swing, too. "I like rain," he shouted as he tried to catch the drops of water in his hands. Genevieve took the twins into the house. She and Lucas ran about, quickly shutting the windows to prevent the water from coming inside. The sky had really gotten dark now, and the rain was coming down very hard. There was another streak of lightning, and it was immediately followed by a loud bang. "Did you hear that explosion?" shouted Lucas. "I bet it means trouble." He reached for the light switch, and as he expected, nothing happened. "Hey, Jenny, we lost electricity," he informed her. "You mean there are no lights?" she asked him. "Right," said Lucas, nodding. "No lights, no nothing." As he said it, he had a great idea. "If the electricity isn't working, the refrigerator won't be working either," he informed Genevieve. "Yes," she said, nodding her head. "It's the same at home." That means that the ice cream we bought this morning is going to melt inside the freezer. Genevieve nodded her head. It's too bad we bought such a large package, she said. It will be a big waste. The best thing to do is eat it before it turns into mush, said Lucas. Oh, it's too close to supper time to eat ice cream, said Genevieve. Despite her foreign accent, she sounded just like his mother. It was the sort of thing a mother always said. It doesn't matter now, said Lucas. We can't waste so much ice cream. My mother wouldn't want it all to go to waste, he said in his most convincing tone of voice. Yes, said Genevieve thoughtfully, you are right. Waste is not a good thing at all. She turned to the twins. Come, we're all going to have ice cream. In the kitchen, they lit a pair of candles to help them see better. Genevieve opened the freezer and removed the half-gallon of marshmallow fudge ripple ice cream. It's still very cold, she told Lucas. It's cold now, Lucas replied, but a power failure like this could last for hours, maybe days. Once, when Lucas was about 6 years old, they had had a power failure that had lasted for almost 24 hours. However, he knew that most of the time when they lost electricity, it was restored within less than an hour. It was therefore very important that they hurry and begin eating the ice cream right now. Genevieve went to the cupboard and got dishes for all of them. We'd better eat as much as we can, said Lucas. Marcus and Marius each ate a big helping of ice cream. Genevieve had 2 dishes. And the one and only Lucas Cott managed to consume no fewer than 3 full dishes of marshmallow fudge ripple ice cream. He was just scraping up the last of his 3rd dish when the lights came back on. The kitchen clock said 20 minutes to 5. However, Genevieve's wristwatch, which worked with a battery and did not stop when the electric power stopped, showed that it was really 10 minutes to 6. Almost time for supper, Genevieve observed. I don't want any supper tonight, said Lucas. This ice cream was my supper. It was also, he thought, his 3rd victory of the day. Oh, no, said Genevieve. You just had your dessert before your main course, that's all. It would be a shame to waste the good, fresh string beans and fresh fish that we bought today. The old pair smiled at Lucas. When Marcus and Marius took their nap today, I watched a film on television. I learned a new American expression that you did not teach me. What is it? Said Lucas. I wasn't born yesterday, said Genevieve. She smiled triumphantly at Lucas. Lucas had not watched the movie with Genevieve. Still, he was pretty sure that he knew what the expression meant. It meant that he shouldn't expect to have victories over Jenny. She knew what he was up to. That's the end of chapter 6. Did you ever eat so much ice cream, or maybe candy, or maybe cookies that you didn't feel so well? I bet that's how Lucas is feeling right now. Stay tuned tomorrow when we read chapter 7.